Now, I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed that opening. naturally, naturally, I waited to the absolute last minute to take care of that. But it brought me a little bit of joy, so I took the time to make that. If you are new here, again, this is this is Money Mondays, where you get to talk about the mindset, try to change your sort of viewpoint, where you think about money, how you look at it, and possibly how you can get your hands around it. Also, we try to, debunk some old ideas and why these things actually don't make sense for us today. That's part of the conversation. I know you all have heard it. You love it. You guys are completely enamored with it, but we're talking about 50-50 and why that doesn't make sense. And we're going to use math. Right? Math is going to be our friend on this, where we can actually break this down, where we can let go of a little bit of our own biases, right? We can let go of a little of our own biases and we say, yo, this makes sense. Does this make sense or does it not make sense? But again, Money Mondays, and for those of you new here, you may not see it, but I did some work under the hood, right? I did some work under the hood to fix some things, or just to kind of make this my own little thing. Right? And I like little openings. I like to think about, if I were sitting there in your shoes, what would I like to see? Would I like to be just kind of have a bunch of word salad thrown at me, or I want a little bit of entertainment? So for those of you that did not catch it, were not here earlier, or going to catch on a replay, gang, I'm gonna play it again because I really actually like that until I get tired of it, right? Until I get tired of it. And eventually at that point I'll stop. It just becomes normal. But check it out. Now I think that deserves a yeah. I like that. Anyway, again, sharing a little bit of the fun, a little bit of personality, what we like to do. So listen, yeah, back to Money Mondays, right? And who likes Mondays? Not much people, but like Marissa pointed out, I got to make this mine. I got to make this, have a little fun with this. Again, if you're new here, we do Subscriber Sundays, which we had yesterday, which was completely fun. We had a good time. We hope to find more and more, subscribers, new people to come. Find the channel, check out the channel, enjoy the channel, learn something from the channel. Yeah, I was definitely going for the 80s vibe, the Scarface, illegal with the money. And, you had to get an actual song that's not copyrighted. So we had to make sure. Anyway, it was fun. It took entirely too long, but it was absolutely fun. But I want to make sure we put the show together because last Monday, people had stuff to do. So, and then some people even hit me up later. They got in late, and by then I was talking to myself for 20 minutes. So I'm going to hopefully I don't have to do that today. Hopefully we can get some value out of this. For those of you that don't know, Oracle just laid off 21,000 people because of AI, and they said more to come. This is not uncommon. You're seeing more and more companies turn to AI to say, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to use. Some even have to double back as the cost is too high. But as we know, we don't really care much about water. We don't care much about data set. We care more about data centers. What's going on, G Pro? We're putting up more and more data centers. So the cost of using AI is going to probably foreseeably, in the foreseeable future, decrease. So the amount of people that are going to be displaced from jobs is only going to rise. Now, just like the rest of society, just as time goes on, as time marches on immemorial, as it does, society changes, economy changes. So some of the notions and ideas that we somehow have with our relationships today don't really make any sense. 50-50, right? Well, I don't want a man that's going to go 50-50. I want him to pay all the bills. Now the question comes down to, outside of the elite few, how does this happen? This is AI. You're probably right. How'd you know? Right? How the hell did you know this is AI, right? Shout out to you, Nolan. Yeah, listen. We're talking, people want to talk about like 50-50, like this is a thing that's possible, that's increasingly still possible for people to do today. As time marches on, and you can see as the price of eggs goes up, as the price of gas goes up, as the price of everything goes up, how? And it's high time we put a stop to it, outside of your feelings, outside of the gender roles and man's supposed to provide. How? That's what we want to address now. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to go into the history of how we got here, how we went from a single income sort of lifestyle into where we are now. And it's if depending how you feel about conspiracies, depending how you feel just about the United States, depending how you feel about money and gender roles, whatever, that's not really, that's neither here nor there. What we're talking about is how we got here, and here we are right now. There's not a lot that you can do by just saying it's not right, it's not fair, I don't like it. Yeah, I get that. I think a lot of us have that same feeling and understanding. We don't like where we are with it, but it's real. But historically, how did we get here? Right? So the one income household, it didn't kind of just disappear because people stopped wanting it. Right? Stability, right? The price of stuff, you having a stable home, it just got more expensive. Right? It just got more expensive. Stuff started to cost more. So in order for you to maintain that very same stability, what did you have to do? You had to actually show up. You had to now either be one of the people who had more money, or your spouse had to show up and work. What's going on? Glad you guys made it. If you guys are new here, subscribe to the channel. I usually have my little thing come up, but we rebuilt this whole thing from scratch. So a lot of families still want the traditional setup. You hear it all the time. I don't want to work. I want to stay home. I want to raise the kids. Even where you see shaming sort of language, you're not a real man if you don't provide, if you can't do this. While most of the people in your life don't have the funds to make that happen. But this is because the economy has changed. And now we're not talking, you can see, even now, you can see the changes of the economy happening in the last 10 years, 20 years, where we're even saying in 2005, $100,000, right, is equivalent to, 50,000 right now. Where the goal, keeps being moved in terms of your salary, in terms of what you can actually make and what it turns around to mean. So while we still hold on to the idea, yes. And of course, we went through the iterations where I wanted to be an independent woman. I want you to recognize this. I would have my own money, my own bank account, my own credit cards. I wanted to do my own thing. So you went out there, you did it. And some people came back and said, I actually would really prefer this. As the rigors of work become more and more known, as it becomes kind of shitty and terrible, it's Monday, you want to understand, if I would have kids, I would like to be home with them. So in our culture, in our societies right now, the conversation is about, you have to pay all the bills. Now let's be clear. We understand that this is one, Jazz, what's going on? Glad to see you here. We understand that this is one that's happening mainly online and on podcasts and people with mics, right? You should be wary of what people with mics are saying. Not me though. Believe me, right? Believe me. So if we're going to have this conversation, let's have this conversation in reality. Let's have this conversation where it actually makes sense, where we can look and say, this just happened. You want a stable life. We're not going to talk luxury just yet. You want a very stable life. How can you make that happen? By stable, right, we're just saying you don't worry about having to pay the bills, or you're not paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you're paycheck to other paycheck, depending on how you deem stability. Understand, this does not equate just yet to $100,000, $80,000, $300,000. We're just talking about what is stable for you. We keep in mind your expenses. We want to make sure this makes sense. So again, the question right here is not about, whether people want a one income household. You kind of need it right now, realistically, and looking what people actually make. So for those that can do it, that can do the one income, that you get to chill, you get to relax, you get to be at home. These are the kind of the criteria that it actually, how to make that happen. You need to have, you need to be a high earner, obviously, right? You need low housing costs. Right now, the median price for a house in the United States is $417,000. You can't have major debt. We're talking student loans, $1,000 car loan. You can't have high commercial debt. No childcare. Gotta have to be single with no kids in order to be doing this by yourself and we're talking on average, we know people are making it happen, but we're talking, can you now get ready to pay for someone else's life, to be the sole breadwinner of the family? In order for you to walk into that position, this is what you have to do. You need a home that was bought a long time ago. So for those people that when you go to get your first job, you're 18 years old and you need, they require 7 years experience. And you're like, there's not much I can do about that one. This is the reality. The other thing you need is you're going to need family support. Obviously, you that's the closest thing you have to community that you can build, that you can rely on. That if any of these things that we previously mentioned were to fall through, you could rely on family. Hell, you can even live with family as you get your money together. And probably the most important thing of all, you need a very low cost lifestyle. You need not to be flashy, to want a bunch of things. That becomes problematic. That becomes when it becomes very difficult for you to have that sort of lifestyle. You want to travel, you want to go to Dubai, you want to do these things multiple times a year. Well, that's now becomes difficult. So what do we do when all of these things you failed to meet, but you still want the lifestyle? Well, you need two incomes, right? Now we did the shift to dual incomes. Now that meant, hey, the love of your life right there, she's got to go to work, right? America didn't move to dual incomes because the family stopped mattering, right? So you love your life, you matter, right? It moved to dual income because one paycheck slowly stopped covering the full cost of family stability. Shit got expensive. And you at the center of that, as we can look and complain and talk to our politicians and say, this ain't right, how come I can't afford to live? Set her out to work, right? Get her out there, right? It didn't happen overnight. There wasn't just a switch that was flipped and all of a sudden, hey, congratulations, now you're in the boardroom, you're out there work. No, it happened gradually from 1960s through the 1980s. And the major turning point was around the 70s, early 80s. So before that, the cultural ideal was, hey, he just worked, he was a breadwinner, and then she took care of the house or the guy. But most cases, we know it was she was home to the house, the children, the car. And remember the old movies where or the old shows where he would come back home, he would give her the check, and she ran the household. He didn't have to worry about these things. His job was to go out there and work. Factory, door-to-door salesman, whatever it was, he came back, she administered the house. He was the manager of the house. That was the ideal for the time. That's something that we sometimes want to talk and hearken. We want to go back to that. But we also want you to come back home and also take part in the child rearing, in the chores. Again, we're trying to now look and see what's possible. Back then, we had an economy that supported it. This was enough to give you stability. But then over time, stuff started costing more. So you needed two incomes to maintain the very same lifestyle. And in very short order, we're talking 20, 30 years, you saw this become the mainstream, where at least it got to the point where it equaled out the traditional sort of lifestyle. So now we moved in a place where you've got an equal amount of people working, and you have an equal amount of people where two parties have to work to maintain that same lifestyle. So naturally, we're just talking about the cost of living, right? The cost of living slowly creeps up. So while the cost of living changes, so too does, the middle class. So when you go from, anyway, we want to give you a couple of visuals. So here we go. So when did the American household shift to dual income? And you can see a timeline, because we don't want to just throw a bunch of word salad at you guys. I want to give you something to actually sink your teeth into and look at yourself. Pull it up for myself in one sec here. So 1950s, right? Single income was the cultural ideal. One of the eras that people often go back and hearken to and say, yeah, this was the ideal. Back then, women were, about 30% of women were in the workforce. You scratch that into, 2000s, 1999, that number damn near doubled. We have 60%. Now it's leveled off to where we're closer to 57, still 60. So you can see this incremental change where this became, hey, stuff got more expensive. And as you see, the price of gas doesn't just double overnight. For those of you that are old enough, that were paying attention enough, you remember when gas used to start with $1. Now look, you know, some place in California, places are $6, $7. And how do you learn to sort of accept that? It just happens gradually over time. It's the same thing as someone is pinching you slowly. They pinch you harder and harder and harder, but it's over years, so you don't notice that your skin is now dead. But that's how things happen, especially economically. So slowly, more and more women join the workforce, but your quality of life didn't necessarily increase. You still stayed the middle class because the middle class was expanding or eroding. Where you made more money, where you thought we damn near almost doubled the amount of money we have coming in, yet we don't really seem to have a different quality of life. Things are still the same. And you can see from the 1960s, married women enter paid work in growing numbers. 70s, rapid rise in women employment. 70s and 80s, dual income households became mainstream. Most of us parents that are 80s babies, we see this. Both our parents work. Right? Two incomes became the middle class norm. Still, we're celebrating the middle class, saying that's the backbone of society. Well, now you had to work. Now both spouses had to be there. This is not to say that you don't see people with their relationships when one spouse is staying home. You definitely see that. But the standard and quality of life may not be as enviable as you believe. What we see today, which sort of ends up boggling a lot of our minds, is that we expect you to have a certain lifestyle. We expect you to behave and to have the income to chill, to relax, to have a good life, to enjoy yourself, to travel, to have luxury goods, to have the cars. Essentially what just happened, you know, we had a shift in what the middle class was able to afford and our expectation behind that. If I want to stay at home, okay, well, you got to make that happen. But we don't have that society anymore. We're so far removed from that lifestyle that us still trying and to make that happen almost seems silly. Almost seems like you're putting an undue stress on someone who can't make that happen. So one of the things we don't pay attention to is you can, on paper, be middle class, right? This is both of you guys working. On paper, be middle class, but your lifestyle isn't. By definition, by the way you look at what that means. Like we like to think, if you're middle class, you have a house, 2 cars, kids, you know, maybe in private school, or at least you can afford that. And then vacations, you have a bit of breathing room. But the way we end up defining what the middle class is becomes critically important. So, you know, the middle class used to be defined by comfort. Now we have, for many families, it's defined by how well you survive the pressure, how well you actually can weather the storm when stuff gets tough, when stuff gets expensive, when you get your teeth rocked, your jaw rocked. Can you now weather this, or this is going to sink you into sort of poverty? This is our outlook on the middle class now. Not that, no, there's just a timeline here that if you simply walk and continue this path, you'll get to the point. Remember, yeah, 199, right? It was better with both working. Yeah, to be we part of this in this, right? If we're trying to be fair, when we started to convince each other that you could do everything a man could do, the question was, do you want to? Right? Do you want to? And in doing so, can you do it without the resentment of you having to do it? What we see a lot today is, I'm upset about a man not doing more, a man not being a man, but where have I given him the lane to be a man? Right? If I'm saying, hey, I do all the things you do, great, congratulations. It's required today in this society for you to sit at home and chill like they did back in the 50s. We need that economy in the 50s. We don't have that. Our pay has not increased, as so has gas being from $1.99 to what it is now. It hasn't actually moved lockstep. So we're stuck in this place where the expectation is still high. It may be valid, it may feel good, but in reality, how do I get myself into that place where I can afford to now put you at home? Even if I want to do that, even if it's not important to me, if it's the most important thing, middle class right now means, okay, you can afford the house, the car, groceries, healthcare, whatever your kids need, basic activities, and occasional vacations. But that's how we're defining it now, right? It means what you can afford. The ideal is something different. It's everything you just mentioned, everything we just mentioned, but it's saving money, it's investing, contributing retirement, emergency funds, repairing your home, repairing your car, and more importantly, if you lose your job, you can absorb the loss. If she gets fired, if you get fired, your family does not crumble. You can absorb the loss. Think about how many people can do that today. With Oracle laying off people, tech constantly laying off people with high-paying jobs, to the point where you actually had 300,000 women outside of the workforce. When you have this happening as such, UPS with their with their downsizing, even when FedEx turned around and said, hey, we're going to pay you drivers $173,000, and then as soon as the season was over, we downsized again. So if you're middle class, if you can't absorb suddenly missing a salary of six figures from your budget, from your household budget, are you, on paper, yes, middle class, but in reality, where actually do we find ourselves? So now, in terms of where we want to end up, living, because when we have this conversation about, can you afford it? Right? Do you have the bread? Do you have any money? Or you going back to, I want you to pay all the bills. My man, he has to pay all the bills. Even if she works, she's saying, I want to keep my money. I don't want to do the 50-50 thing. Right? No, it ain't with it. Okay, where are we living? In order for us to make this happen, where are we living? If we're being realistic, we're talking about the places where we actually want to live. Not for fake, not, hey, you want to be in rural Kansas. No, you want to live in the hot spots, in the cool spots, in the metropolitan cities. What's that cost? What is that actual legitimate cost to you when it's time to live like that? When you break it down, we can look at saying, as you being part of the middle class, what do you need, say, in New York City? And by let's define it. Our assumption is one working adult supporting two adults, right? So I go to work, I support myself, I support her, and we have two children. As of 2025, we're saying in New York, you need $167,000. That's what you need to make, minimum. On the top end, to be comfortable, you need 200. A lot of times, in previous videos, I've said, and we're understanding that this is a very comfortable sort of lifestyle. This is not the Birkin. This is not, right, the APs. This is not the multiple vacations per year. That's not what this is. This is saying, this is what it costs us to feed ourselves, to put money away, to have occasional vacations. This is the cost. If we can't understand that, then, well, we can't do this. A lot of times when you hear people talking about, hey, no, she stays at home, she may have to coupon. She may have to be very frugal, right? Back in the day, when we were talking about the 50s, when people stayed home, even under that one salary, even when you had an economy that did it, sometimes she made stuff from scratch. Garden in the backyard. Hand wash the clothes again and again. Sometimes she made clothes. So you just managing the house wasn't just, right? I'm on TikTok. I'm scrolling on TikTok for 6-7 hours a day. Or I've got my Etsy shop, or I paint. I'm an artist. In reality, you had to contribute. So, of course, New York had to be top of the list because, it's New York. DC, right? You need 153, 184 on the high end. Los Angeles, this is probably wrong, right? But you're saying 143 versus 172. Philly, 126, 151. Now, remember, we're having conversations with people and we're saying about what's the percentage of people actually making six figures. And when we say six figures, we mean 100,000. I always talk about the conversation about setting someone home probably starts somewhere around 300,000. This is saying that people have no debt. They have no other strife, no other issue coming with them. They're economically a net zero. They don't have student loans. They don't have excessive commercial debt. They don't have a car, nothing. This is just saying you're coming in clean. In reality, we're all walking around with mountains of debt. Some of us more so than others. So you have your wife, she's not going to work. Well, she's got debt. Who's responsible for that? You're responsible for that. So when it sounds good, right? That you can make 167 in New York and be fine. In reality, you might need to double that in order to put you guys on the proper trajectory over time. Because as you know, kids cost, kids' colleges are going to cost. The house, the upkeep of the house, because you need a house that actually supports something like that. And again, medium cost is what, $410,000. So for you in New York, your house is going to be in the $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 range. You're looking at a mortgage of maybe $5,000 to $6,000. That's a bunch of salary right there. Realistically, this is why when you hear people saying, my man got to pay all the bills, even if she does work, you say, you got to pay the bills. What does that leave you with? Right? What type of lifestyle does that leave you with in terms of, is it even possible? If you're one of these people that can make it happen, if you're part of the 10%, the 5%, the 1% that can make this happen, this is why these conversations lead us to a place where we have sort of these frayed relationships. If I'm making that much and I realize how different that places me, where that places me, why would I acquiesce to a damn thing in any type of debate, in any type of conversation? Why would I turn around and say, yes, dear? To what? For what? For what reason? For what reason do I have to say, you know what, you got that. You made a good point. Hey, I need you to, help more around the house. No. Before you even get married, how do you now convince a man that knows he's in these places? The constant women are often upset. The finance bros, they walk around like their shit don't stink. Economically, they get it. Financially, they get it. If you're weeding out men by their money, okay, this is what happens when people realize they're on their 2 standard deviations from the mean. I don't have to really conform to any of those rules anymore. That's when you see some of these obnoxious streamers online, just like, yeah, she has an opinion. He's like, bring another girl in. Just bring another girl in. She's offended, but what can she do? He knows there's 1,000 women lined up out there because he has the influence. He has the way to bring you over here. So they're just like, okay, whatever. This is what helps you create when we have this unrealistic 50-50 conversation. The amount of people that can genuinely do it, what incentive do they have to actually play by the same set of rules? We skewed it one way. Just the same way you look at men that are 6 feet and above, and you're like, they don't got a personality. They don't need personality. Right? The height's of personality. Same thing when we look at women who are 9s, 8s, 9s, and 10s, that you don't have a personality. So I don't need personality. My looks got me on a yacht. When we focus on the economics, this is where we end up finding ourselves. Not only didn't work, so they can't cheat on their husbands. Yeah, this is another issue. Yeah, he pays all the bills. Yeah, but he's never home. He's never home. So what's supposed to happen? What is actually supposed? I'm still gonna get my rocks off somewhere else, right? So we understand when it comes down to just you and being in a high cost of living area, metropolitan area, stuff's going to cost more money. All the while, you still have to do what ends up taking a hit. What ends up taking a hit when you're making $167,000 in New York? Sounds good. You've got a family to support. You got a family of 4. When you can't make the ends meet, or they barely just meet, what takes a hit? Savings, retirement, emergency fund, car repairs, home repairs, even medical. These things slowly erode your position. You're making good money, but your family can't afford to live like it is. Now, the easy solution is to say, hey, dear love of my life, this isn't economically viable. I need you to go back to work. We need you to get a part-time job or something. But now you have to flip it, and the cost of childcare hits you like a ton of bricks. Some places it's something $2,000 a month. So now you need it. She needs a $50,000 job to break even, because we know it's 2,000 after tax. It's 2,000 after tax. She's grossing 50, so call that 38. Still doesn't cover it. It economically no longer makes sense for her to go to work. She needs to have a high-paying job as well. Now what happens? Your relationship with the kids suffer. Your actual time at home suffers. Your time together suffers. So when we're having the conversation, or we're spewing about going 50-50 or not, he has to pay all this. Understand what all this actually means. For the people that can do it, that small and smaller amount, there's people that can do it, and there's people that's willing to do it. That becomes a small infinitesimal number, and then you want good behavior from these men. Right? So we know in most major cities, you're probably going to need somewhere around, let's call it $175,000 to $200,000, right? In order for you to make it happen. There's some places in San Francisco where, you're $100,000 and you have a roommate, you have two roommates, where your rent is something like $4,000 or $5,000. In that same sort of vein, we can talk about a little bit about New York and Mondami freezing the rents for 1 or 2 years. For people, this is good. This means relief. It feels like it means relief. The other side of the coin, it's sort of bleak, because the landlords there that own these buildings, they're looking at a profit and loss statement. That's all they care about. In order for me to run this way, I have to pay for these things. Their costs go up, and what do they usually do? When you're the end line consumer, you end up feeling the brunt of costs. When a cost goes up, insurance goes up, I pass that on to you. Cost of utilities that I'm responsible for, I pass that on to you. If you had someone that worked below you, right, you pass it on to them. But since you don't, and since now your rent is frozen, he can't pass it on to you. He's got to eat it out of pocket. So what does he do? What can you do? You cut costs other places, or you try to kick up your own money. But again, this is your only job. This is your job. There's no other money for you to kick up. So you find yourself in a position where you start laying off staff. Supers don't get to your place, don't get to the apartment. They don't continue with the maintenance. Maintenance has to take a hit. But then the city on the back end has a program now where if your place is not up to code, the city can take it. Then the city will administer it. But if you or anyone has been in New York and understands or ever been in, have worked or lived in the housing authority, you see the quality there. How many people every winter complaining, hey, we haven't had heat all winter. Oh, well, we're going to get to it. The city making it seem like as if, we got it, we're on top of it. When you have that sort of bureaucracy in it, people end up suffering that's in there. The housing authority, it's usually not the best sort of neighborhoods. It's crime ridden. There was for such a long time, there's a New York police policy not to go into these houses alone, not to go in these houses without a partner, not to go in these houses without SWAT. So it's one of those, if we looking for genuine solutions, we're going to have to look together. But for you, for the average renter, for someone to say, hey, I'm just glad my rent's not going up. From there, I can make other moves. As long as your family does not increase in size, because a lot of these places are single 1 bedroom, 1 bath, or some studios. As long as your family doesn't increase, doesn't get larger, and you have to move out, you have to move to a place that's actually not rent stabilized. Now you went from, hey, it was just me in this place. I met a swanky, swell gal. Now we're a family of 3. So now we need 2 bedrooms. But when you go into the open market and everyone else is looking and saying, no, we're not stabilized. You go from paying maybe $2,000 a month, now saying, yeah, you want this 2-bedroom, that's $4,500. Oh, you said that's outrageous. You go to someone else and you're like, yeah, no, that's the price. Right? The price is the price. And the price just went up. So as long as you're stabilized and you just using these positions, it's time to sort of consolidate where you are, your presence, your money, then I can see it making sense for you. But if you grow, if your situation changes demonstrably, then you might find yourself in trouble. It's just things that you should be kind of aware of. So continuing on, now we talk about the gender roles, right? While we still argue over what the actual gender roles are, the economy has made that decision, right? The price tag they put on things has told us what the truth is. You can not want to do something. As many people that come online and have the discourse about he has to pay all the bills. I want a man my man is going to do this. If he doesn't do this, it's not for me. You're never going to find it. Realistically, you're never going to find it. Not in the way you envision, not in a way that it's actually a luxurious lifestyle. If you just want to be a homemaker, you want to be home with the kids, and you know that dollar is going to work hard to stretch, then yeah. But the idea that there's going to be a millionaire, a billionaire, that you're going to walk down the street and meet one, no. Or that you're just going to meet the millionaire next door and understand that he has enough funds there to actually set you down. Most of his money right now, like most millionaires, their money's tied up in assets. It's not accessible without getting rid of the asset, real estate. You may have a net worth of $6 million, but you have to burn some of this stuff down in order to see that. You can borrow against it, but that's now another loan on top of your already tight budget. So you have people that have a net worth that is in the millions, but they make 80,000. They invested well, diligently, but that doesn't turn them around and say, now you can stay at home. No, a lot of people are simply going to be priced out because the expectation is higher than what reality says. This is why we always try to push back, right? We push back when women have these sometimes delusional sort of takes. You think it's delusional that, hey, you got to date within your tax bracket. Most of us in the same tax bracket. Most of us in the same tax bracket. They ain't in my tax bracket. Right? You just have ideas and delusions that are outside the tax bracket. It's the, champagne budget, but you, right? Not even bare. You got enough money for peanuts, the free ones, right? So if we don't have expectations that are closer to reality, what we end up doing is killing time, the most precious thing we have. We kill that until we get to our old golden age and we realize, damn, I messed up. Damn, maybe something I did was wrong. Now you look goofy like Lisa Ray dancing, throwing a crotch out there. Maybe 58, right? 58. At this point, you should have understood how this actually works. But when you hold on to these ideas that reality is saying, hey, this is not really happening. The economy changed what provider meant. The economy came in and said, hey, that was cute, but this is actually reality, what it means now. If you're looking for provision just in terms of money, this is what it means now. The ability to do all that stuff you want is limited. And again, not saying you can't find those men that can do it. It's what incentive they have to say, I'm not a dick, right? I'm not 100% dick. It's my way or the highway. You don't like what I have to offer. You don't like what I have to say. You can leave. Callous, cold, and we've given them no reason not to be. If you are wanting these type of men, for whatever reason, this is how you define providership. They have no inkling. You don't stand out to them unless you're some type of superwoman, Wonder Woman. But if you're not, then we got nothing for you. Right? So a lot of men still feel the pressure to be providers, even though economically it becomes an increasingly smaller category. So women still say they want financial security. What you're hearing a lot of it is, I want the financial security before becoming a wife, before having kids, or often after I've had kids with someone else. You still now have to do this. Now we went from me supporting myself to you to immediately 2 other children. Now, overnight, because I met you, because I swiped on you on Bumble and Tinder, now we're a family of 4 and I'm still expected immediately. No ramp up, no baby shower, no feelings of grandeur and joy. Hey, we're doing something. Let me get inspired to make more money. No, overnight, now I'm responsible because you still believe that this is what a provider does. So that means, again, that sole provider has to be a high earner. And when we try to inject some realism into it, you say, why was that high earner? Why would he want someone like you? Then the conversation usually breaks down. At that point, it gets very emotional. So it's not that people are debating their emotion, not debating the facts, the money. This is what it comes down to. You can feel what you feel. You can believe wholeheartedly what you believe. But what it comes down to when it's just like you don't make enough. That's where the rub comes. That's where the issue is. You don't make enough money. An economy hasn't had space to let you make that enough money. We don't have enough jobs to give into that sort of demand. So next time when we're having these conversations about paying, he has to pay all the bills, understand the pressure and burden that puts on him. And then if he can meet it, why he turns around and says, what do you bring into that table? The mentality that we see online with a lot of women is not the thing that's going to make any of this work. The expectation, he should be happy, he should be grateful, he should want to do these things. A real man would do these things. He would accept me, myself, maybe my football team, half football team that I have that I'm coming with. Also, he has to be the solution for my family. My mom isn't really great with money, so I need to step up and help her. That's my role as her daughter. Now you have to take that on. You're my man. All these added expectations that you put on a man, yet he has to face the reality and saying, what is it going to take for me to make $200,000 in this economy? We understand that these questions have to be answered early on. Right out of high school, you have to have those answers. You have to be already working and moving towards that in order for any of this to really make any sense. You need to have a specialized degree. You need to be in a STEM field. These questions popping up now when people are in easily replaceable jobs that AI comes and says, that was cute. That was really cute. We don't do that anymore. We don't need that anymore. Oh, my sister just jumped in. Always good to see you, sis. Yesterday was phenomenal. Thank you for that. I must sip a quick, yeah. So obviously these things become very simple. When we're dealing with any type of realism, we can understand the truth that in order for you to make this happen, it's going to be collaborative. And I wholeheartedly believe most people are collaborative offline. The people that are making it work right now at home, thinking about what they're going to eat, or it's time to wash up the dishes, they have a collaborative effort. They have a routine that makes sense for them. Every month, their money is going in the right direction. When it comes down to when someone faces an emergency, well, the other person is there to weather it with them or shield them from it. You being out there is like a live wire exposed. If things go well, no one dies. No one gets electrocuted. Things do not go well. You are almost guaranteed to face some sort of emergency. Like life guarantees you paying taxes and death. Also, emergency is going to befall you, or at least someone near you, someone close to you. You're going to need to figure that out. But when we have this idea that you have to be the breadwinner, and not just the breadwinner, where most people right now could fall under a man who's making enough to pay all the bills. You'd hate that lifestyle though. You'd hate it. Boost Mobile, we need to save money as much as possible. In fact, you don't even need your cell phone's just Wi-Fi connected. That's it. The Wi-Fi we have to borrow from the neighbor. That type of lifestyle, where you have to pinch pennies, you have to coupon, you have to be frugal. Your clothes aren't in this year or last year or 3 years in that sort of fashion. That's just reality of it. But what is it that you want? Do you want to be able to stay home? And this is just you staying home. This is not you and kids. People make it because they have aid from either their family or Big Daddy government. In reality, you wanted that lifestyle without knowing a way where you can actually sit there and put that out there and give that person value, it becomes almost impossible, right? The internet is a very weird place. Yeah. The internet loves that. It loves to make you think that somehow you are not enough. You're not doing well enough. Listen, everyone, look at my sister, so popular. Everyone checking out. But yeah, so this is, we can have the conversation void of actual emotion. This is the reality. This is what it's probably going to take. Without you suddenly becoming exceptional, without you having a degree that is AI technology safe, that Skynet won't come and say, I'm not here to kill you, just here to take your job. Until we find ourselves in that place where we can fix these sort of issues, we're kind of at a loss. The easiest, most simple thing is for us to say, let us have a realistic conversation in terms of what the economy allows. The conversations aren't being had. The results are being felt, though. More and more people, more and more women are getting older, and they're not, if they are desiring of relationships, their expectations, their desires, their delusion says you're supposed to do these things. No. And again, we understand this is the online talk. Part of the issue with the online talk is that it's not genuine. You're never going to come online and say, in mass, yeah, man, I made some bad choices. Think about it. All those people that had, what was it? Was it NFTs, right? Buying pictures, invested millions into that. You didn't turn around and say, yo, that was a dumb thing I did. That thing is worth $10 right now. I put millions into that. People don't advertise their losses. So when people get to the point where they're at home, they're lonely, they want to be held, they want to have someone's presence in there. But what their online presence says is, yes, boys are icky. They stink. I don't want them around. If we had real conversations like we're supposed to have after the barbecue in the back while the sun's coming down when it's getting a little cool out, we're supposed to have those real talks with each other. You invite your friend out, you guys sit there, hey man, what's going on with you? That's supposed to be a time for real talks where you're supposed to be able to talk about, hey, this is what's going on, right? This is the problem. This is what's happening. This is what's the issue. This is what I'm feeling. We don't do that. We just continue to front like it's all good, like my life is perfect. Like you don't see the envelopes with the past due coming and hitting you and you avoiding going to check the mail for that. Last time you actually looked at your bank account because you don't want to deal with it being negative. We put our head in the sand and we hope that things get better. But we all know that's not how life has ever moved for us. That's never been our lot. That's never been how it worked. So until we start having real conversations about, yo, this is expensive. NFTs were making people, they were going wild for those. Absolutely wild for those. Like, yo, this is all it is. This is all it is out here. You couldn't tell them anything. We're like, hey, that doesn't make any sense. Shut your mouth. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened. So until we have those real conversations with one another, until you can sit down and tell have that talk and say, I think I made some bad choices. A lot of the rhetoric I've had all my life, I've said from a place of fear, a place of hurt, and now it has prevented me from having that sort of life I wanted. Or the life I wanted really never really existed for me. It's hard for people to have that, to say that. I think it's even harder to waste your life with the expectation that men are supposed to do something that is economically more and more impossible for 90% of the people here. That's where we find ourselves. I left the girl, and like she was with a friend back in the day. Didn't have the contact with a friend in years. But I didn't like it, so I left. But this is exactly how you're supposed to be, right? And I appreciate the super chat. This is exactly how you're supposed to be, right? It's not always great. It doesn't always feel good. But when you are disrespected or a line is crossed where we don't have a realistic understanding what is happening, I got to take myself out. If you saw any of my old videos, And to be fair, there's a lot of videos. There's a lot of videos. We did 2 a day for a full year, sometimes more. Kind of stubbornly still doing that. One of the things I say, especially to men, your superpower is your attention. That's it. That's your superpower. You don't have to go and argue. You don't have to go and scream. You damn sure don't have to put your hands on her. You just remove yourself. You just remove yourself and say, hey, cool, great. You attach with love. Say, I hope you have the life you deserve. Hope you get everything that you need. It's not me. I'm out. That's it. That's the conversation. Rather than us crying online, pining for her, hoping, wishing that she somehow sees the light. Hey, no, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. We're not getting along. We're not working out. That's fine that we don't. That's fine that we aren't doing well together. At the end of the day, you have to respect yourself. You have to understand where you are, who you are, and that every time you tolerate a bit more of that little disrespect, you make it seem like this is the norm. Now, listen, right here, what that part, that is universal. That is not gender specific, but I want to tell men because we have so little plays. We have so little abilities in our handbook, in our playbook, where we can go hit the X's and O's. Our biggest X and O is just saying, cool, bet, right? Bet, yeah. Try to hack it, but got mad very often. Yeah. It's that right there. So I'm loving that you brought this up. I'm absolutely loving that you brought this up. Here's the thing. And I'm often telling us here that we should take some of the plays from women, from their playbook. We should stop. We should peek and look over and say, what you doing over there? What move are you drawing up there? Right? That wide right. That's perfect. That's a perfect play for me and my boys. We need to move like that. What do women do a lot? They get a feeling. They trust their intuition. They trust their gut. And they say, I think something's up. Are they wrong a lot? Sure. Right? Sure. Right? Is it foolproof? No, absolutely not. But the feeling is enough for them to act. What do? We've got a feeling. We'll sit there with it because I need concrete proof. Like I'm going to take this to the court of law because we're used to when we have conversations, when we have arguments, that I have to bring evidence because every man here has probably experienced their own gaslighting and seen, hey, you tried to say this, but now this. Hey, you did this when? I've never done that. You got to bring out the Rolodex. You got to bring out the stenographer and say, on this date, this happened. This date, this happened. You don't got to do that. Right? You don't got to do that. It's something you could live with. So need to, draw things out. You can't live with that. The thing is, with men, we try to. Right? We try to. Because we're thinking the most important thing here is the relationship, is being with you. We don't want to lose you. We don't want to be without you. But in order to do that, we slowly kill off who we are. And then in time, we end up losing you anyway, because I'm not who you sign up to be with anyway. I don't look like that person anymore. I don't move like that person. My discipline is gone. Shit, I'm fatter. I'm a chunky monkey now. I gave all that up because I thought it would make you happy. And in trying to please you, put you on a pedestal, I've lost who I am. This is what happens to a lot of men. This is where we find ourselves most of the time. It doesn't work. Right? It doesn't work. That's just the truth of the game. It doesn't work. We have these ideas, we think, we hope, doesn't work. Doesn't work. And again, this becomes genderless. If you find yourself in a situation where people aren't respecting you, you've laid out your case solidly. Give people the due. Understand, especially this is how I often look at. I think about women. Highly successful. You're smart. You're intelligent. You've navigated so well throughout your life. You've made decisions, mainly best decisions for you. You can do this advanced thinking. You can put yourself in the future. You can reason. So when you're running afoul of me and I'm being disrespected, it's on purpose. It's on purpose. There's no, oh, my bad. I didn't realize. No, my bad. No, you kind of just did that. That's what it is. You understood it. Simple. I've worked on becoming more and more emotionally intelligent. I lay out the case ahead of time. This is how you talk to me. This is how you treat me. When this goes wrong, this is how I'm going to react. It's going to seem cold and emotionless. Inside, I'm dying. You'll never see that. I'm never going to rise. I'm never raise my hand and strike. No, I'm just going to say, hey, we've talked about this before. This keeps happening, so it's not going to change. I now take a step back. I now take a step back and say, okay, great. Wish you the best. The same for us, the same for me. This isn't working. That's how we look at it. Yeah, I left a woman that was great at first. Shift the basket. Yeah, man. Listen. She was fat at first and skinny. Yeah. Oh, damn, drugs. Damn, bro, that's rough. That is rough. Yeah. Guys, we should make like a if you guys are up for it, we get to put together like a call-in show, where we can sort of talk and air some of these things out, in a healthy sort of way. You guys let me know if that's something you would be interested in. I'm always interested in creating more and more spaces where we can have actual dialogue. Yeah, a problem with people had something. Listen, again, attention is going to be your best friend, right? Attention is going to be your best friend. Me, I've always absolutely weaponized my pride, right? To and from where it should be, where it's time for me to let go of some stuff. I don't want to let someone. I think about it this: we ended on bad terms, good terms, whatever. We ended. Next time I see you, next time I run into you, or next time you check on me, I don't want you to see me laying on the couch, right, crying, wallowing. I want you to see like, whatever we went through, I took it, ran with it, and I'm better than who I was before. That's always my idea. Next time you run into me, next time you see me, I'm better than I was before. That's my tomorrow. The X is just to be cut out permanently. Yeah, cut it out. Right? Excise it like a cancer. Let it go. But listen, guys, this is Money Mondays. I hope we had some enlightening conversation. Absolutely. Again, if you guys want that call-in show, I can create that. We just need to know, sort of ahead of time so we can put these things together and troubleshoot, because like most things, they end up needing to be tweaked and fixed on the fly. Not like what I do 15 minutes before a show, putting stuff together. Besides that, unlicensed, I'll try to do unlicensed Thursday, but we definitely have subscribers Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Always fun. You can catch some of those replays. If you guys are new here, again, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. And again, shout out to you for the super chat. Hope to see more of you in these lives, and we randomly do those so we can have conversations. I just saw it was Euro too. Yeah, man, I appreciate you. So, oh yeah, also made a new it. Make sure we get that. So take us out.